Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. I have been waiting to make this episode. I'm very excited about what we're going to talk about today, and that is we are going to be launching a new service starting March 1st. It's going to be a modern style worship service, and it's going to be on Sunday evenings at 5:30. So there's a lot I want to unpack and talk about. There's been hints of it here and there. You've probably seen it in the newsletter or heard about it a little bit from leadership team, but I want to talk a little bit about how this came about, why we're doing it, what we're hoping, and how you can be a part of it. So let's rewind back to this fall. This fall in November, our praise team leader, Sarah Clavon, discerned that it was time for her to be done here at the church. Her life had taken her to a new town and working full time, and it became more and more difficult for her to make it to Yankton. And so in her discernment, chose to resign from her position as the praise team leader for our church. Up until that point, we had been doing our Sunday morning worship was kind of alternating between a traditional style service and then what I'm going to call contemporary, but very much similar to our traditional service, just using the praise team and kind of flipping a couple elements around, but pretty still liturgical, traditional in style. And that was working for us. But when that resignation came, the first place that I reached out to was the current praise team to say, hey, I would love to get your input on, what our next steps should be moving forward. Do we want to keep trying to do this sort of alternating schedule and kind of some options? Was there anyone who wanted to, take on the role that Sarah had, or I play guitar a little bit, I can fill in. I'll be honest, I was really grateful they said no because that would have been so stressful for me. But I was willing to do it short term. And what I got back was, this is an opportunity for us to do something completely different. And so we took some time and really kind of prayed over and thought through what could this look like? What would we need to create something maybe a little more modern in feel? And when I say modern, I want to be clear what I'm talking about here. So in kind of worship vernacular, modern and contemporary, and like those things all seem like we're talking about the same thing, but really there's different sort of styles of worship services that use this language. And so our traditional service, when someone's saying like, hey, I attend a traditional service, that typically means hymns, organ, choirs, bell choir, if you have it, which we do because we're awesome. You're going to have liturgy, you're going to have that sort of feel to it. We do that exceptionally well, I think. I'm going to, give us a pat on the back. I think we do traditional exceptionally well. Over the course of years here at First United Methodist, our contemporary has shifted in the way that it is. I think we've had sort of true contemporary, we've had sort of a mixed style between traditional and contemporary, where it's more of the traditional structure with contemporary music, or at least like praise music. And those are great. But modern is a little bit different in that the structure of the service really is pared down to just really minimal elements, really focusing on music, prayer, scripture, and preaching, and then any sacraments if the day calls for that. And so taking out some of the other pieces of it and really just kind of honing in. Modern worship also tends to be, if you have it, band led, but what we have learned is that that is not a necessary component, but it tends to be darkened space, heavy on kind of visual information, which again, we have those pieces in our traditional. I've been using the screen for preaching for many years now. I find it helpful, good reinforcement in the preaching, but we use it in our traditional services, which not every traditional service does. But really, it's that structure that changes, and it's just a very different feel. If you go to churches around town, you're going to experience all of these variations of styles of worship. And we really felt that it was important for us that I think there were people that in the community that would really love our church, but just have a preference for that sort of style. And so they end up going to a church that maybe they don't agree with everything that that church is teaching or that church is doing, but they just like that style. And we felt it was important for us to try to offer something that marries our theology and who we are as a church. And I think we are a very strong church in, you know, we are known in the community as the people who do things. Like you want something done, you talk to the Methodists. That's we live out our faith. We are active in our faith. We're active in service. We're active in discipleship. And we have, I think, a really important and clear viewpoint that is needed in our world and I think needed in our community. And so I think it's important for us to do all that we can to try to create a space for people to come and to truly love worship and love and be and to kind of meet people where they are. This is if this is what it would take for them to get plugged in and eliminate that hurdle for them, then let's give that a shot. So Julie Mooney, who's been on the praise team, and I were visiting. Julie, I had asked to provide special music at our Blue Christmas service this December, and we share Blue Christmas service with the UCC Church and with Trinity Lutheran starting this year. And so prior to the service, Julie and I were visiting with Reverend Jeff Ottoman, who is the senior pastor at Trinity and a good friend. And we were sort of talking about, this thing that's been on our hearts. And I knew that Trinity had launched a modern worship service earlier in 2025 because we also share VBS together. And Michael Jordan, who was their associate at the time, couldn't do the VBS service because he was going to be at the modern service that they had just launched. And so Julie and I started peppering Pastor Jeff with questions about, what did that look like? How did you launch it? I'm like, where did you find a praise team leader? And he goes, we didn't find a praise team leader. We do it all on video. We use worship lyric videos and we use this program, this other, site for all this other media stuff. And Julie and I just kind of looked at each other. We have worship lyric videos. We bought them way back during COVID days, and we've used them periodically. We also already are subscribed to that same media platform. We use it in conjunction with ProPresenter. Any of the backgrounds that you see, if there's an extra video that I put into worship, oftentimes that's where that's coming from. And we're like, maybe this is something we can do. And so I had one Sunday off in December that I had planned to take off, and we decided to go check out Trinity's modern worship service that day to just get a sense of what it is. What Pastor Jeff had told us is that it was a very popular service in their church. And so we wanted to get a sense of what did that look like? What did that feel like? And what can we learn from this? And I would say for me, the biggest takeaway that I learned was it was a modern worship service, but it still felt like Trinity. And I grew up in the ELCA, so going to Trinity once in a while feels very comfortable for me because it's something I'm familiar with. It's something, in a past lifetime, that was the kind of worship I was used to. One of my hesitations around modern worship was that it was going to erase our identity. And I just really didn't want that. I wanted us to be able to offer it, but in a way that it was still very much us, still very much First United Methodist, and still very much retained the things that make us who we are within the service. And what I was really pleased to experience at theirs was a modern worship service that still felt very authentically Trinity Lutheran. And so what that told me is that this is possible, that this was possible to create a service using tools that we really already had that could meet people where they are, to an opportunity for us to invite people in a way that was doable and authentic to who we were. And so from that point, we started working on kind of putting a proposal together. And so I proposed, the leadership team met in the middle of January, so that I made a proposal that we do an 8-week run, kind of working out kinks and stuff and seeing, is this something that people in our community are looking for and longing for? Because we have people that are part of our church that, we don't always see in worship. And some of the feedback we've gotten over the years is they're missing that sort of style of worship. For others, Sunday mornings is really difficult. For better or worse, the world is putting more and more demands on people. People are traveling, people are this and that. And so we sort of decided to try combining this idea of modern worship, but also at a time that was different than Sunday morning. We've done Wednesday night in the past, and we actually had a pretty decent turnout there. But one of the things that we found it difficult was there's just Wednesday is so loaded. And also, when we're trying to do a new service and launch something, I didn't want to have to rearrange everybody else in order to do it. And so we landed on Sunday evenings as the time that we wanted to give this a try, partially because I really felt like evening was something that could be a good fit for a lot of people. By Sunday evening, even if you're traveling for the weekend, you would be home or on your way, and it still gives you that opportunity to start the week right, and to kind of get your bearings for the week. And so I really liked that. And so that was part of my proposal. Let's try Sunday evenings for 2 months and really get a sense of, you know, how to do it, to work out kinks, to figure things out, to see who's sort of responding to it, and then to be able to kind of make the final decision to go from there, so that we're not sort of locked into this is what we're going to do from now until forever, but that we're constantly evaluating and evolving and making it, again, what we need it to be, and also our way of putting it out into the community and intentionally inviting the community, especially there are just so many people in Yankton who are not attending church anywhere. And it's not that they don't have a faith in God, it's that they believe that there's not a church for them. And I think for many of those people, we could be that church. But we've had this hurdle of, for some people, the style of traditional service comes with baggage that has nothing to do with us, but previous experience. And so to give them something a little different to come into is kind of our hope and plan. So I want to share with you a couple of things that we have made. So first is I'm going to share with you a promo video that I made for this service, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. So give me a second to... In a world that feels busy, loud, and uncertain, there's a light that still shines. A place to breathe, a place to belong, a place to encounter God in a fresh, meaningful way. Introducing the Living Light, a brand new modern worship experience at First United Methodist Church in Yankton, guided by grace, warmed by the Spirit. Thought-provoking messages, authentic worship, and a community centered on hope, love, and belonging. Join us Sunday, March 1st at 5:30 as we launch something new. A service for seekers, for families, for anyone longing for light in the midst of life. Come as you are. Bring your questions. Discover the living light. All right, so that is the promo video for our new service entitled The Living Light. I have to give a shout out to one of our brand new leadership team members, Molly Hansey. She's also a brand new member to the church with a lot of marketing background. And so I reached out to her. She also was helping me with the new bulletin design. And then she came up with the name, the logo, and the tagline for this service. I had some ideas. She very kindly told me that one of my names reminded her of a steakhouse, and that might not be the right way to go. So again, I don't have a marketing background, and this is why God is so good, because God puts the right people in the right place at the right time. And so it's called the Living Light. I don't know if I'm going to pull up the logo for us here. So I want to talk a little bit about why this logo is so amazing. So, all right, so this is our logo for the Living Light. Again, this is a modern worship service of First United Methodist Church in Yankton. This is not a new church. This is part of who we are. And what I love about this logo is that it represents who we are so well. If you notice on the left side of the logo, you are going to notice our flame from our Cross and Flame, the United Methodist Church logo. And that is one side of this flame. And then what you have in the center is the cross, because Christ is the center of all that we are. So this flame logo is just like building on who we already are. And I love that. So we have the living light guided by grace. If you know anything about United Methodists, and let me tell you, uh, one of our distinctives, one of the things that we talk about in a way that nobody else does and that we are like hyper focused on is God's grace and experiencing God's grace. And we talk about it in multiple ways. We talk about the grace that goes before, prevenient grace, the grace that makes us right with God, justifying grace, and then also the grace that God works in us through the Holy Spirit, making us more and more like Christ. We call that sanctifying grace. But grace is huge for us. Not to say it's not huge for other people, but in my experience of all the denominations, United Methodists are big on grace. And Molly picked up on that, guided by grace. I think that's absolutely true of who we are. And warmed by the Spirit. If you are a United Methodist nerd, you know that John Wesley, when he experienced assurance of faith, he described it as my heart was strangely warmed. And so I love that idea of one, you've got the flames, so you've got this light and you've got warmth. And like for people to be able to come together and to have God guiding their life through grace, but also feeling warmth, that assurance of warmth by the Spirit, and that it's this like fire within us. There was just so much about it that I was like geeking out over, and I'm like, this is amazing and I love it. And I didn't come up with it, and I can live with that because this is so good. And so you're going to start to see these things popping up. You're going to be seeing signs for this. We're going to be putting it out, maybe sending it out, putting it around town. But I would love your help in that as well. One, we are keeping our Sunday morning worship. We are keeping all of the things in place that we already have in place. And we're not asking you to switch services. If that's not your thing, it doesn't need to be your thing. I love what we do on Sunday mornings, and that is going to stay. What we're really hoping is for those that Sunday morning is not their thing, that maybe this could be. And so if you know people who were part of our church that have been sort of on the fringe lately, let's invite them. Say, hey, did you know that we're trying something new? Maybe you should check it out. If you have people that in your life that don't attend a church and for whatever reason, Sunday mornings didn't work or they just were hesitant, this is a great opportunity to say, my church is trying something new. Do you want to give it a shot? I think that would be awesome. So we're going to be having promotional stuff out. We're going to have a Facebook group and an event that's going out as well to launch this. And so I would ask that if you are watching this and you're on Facebook, that you would help us by sharing those things. We're going to be putting it on whatever social medias we have. But again, if you can help, I've also got a shorter promo video that we'll use on social media as well. And so again, if you can do your part by sharing, liking, interested, going, all of the things that can get it out to people, that would be awesome. Because again, this is our great opportunity to invite people to check out something new, something different that they haven't seen from us before. And then we are also going to need some volunteers. And so again, to make any worship service work, if we can have greeters, if we can have ushers, greeters, especially if we've got people coming in who never come to our church before. Our church is wonky. The sanctuary, you cannot see it from the front doors. And so that's super important to, again, as people are trying to overcome maybe whatever hurdles they've had of not being in church before, having a greeter right there to kind of welcome and be friendly helps a person, make it through that threshold of the front door. ushers, and if someone wants to handle fellowship. Speaking of, we are looking for someone to coordinate fellowship times for our Sunday morning and our Sunday evening. That could be 2 people or 1 person that oversees all of that. And that is a volunteer position to recruit fellowship hosts, and then to just be mindful of, if there's supplies that need to be ordered, that we know about it. So not a big job, but a valuable and important job. And so if you have a hospitality streak in you and that's something that you love, please let me know. That's something we are looking for. Um, I'm just so excited. Like, I'm just blah, blah, blah. But I really believe that this is the next step. And this is a great opportunity for us, and that God is in this. And I know that because God has just been putting people in the right place at the right time to make this happen. And I feel very strongly that God is in this, and that we are being guided by God in this. And so I just couldn't be more excited. So if this is something you want to be a part of, also technology. This is a very technology driven service. All of the music is music videos. There's going to be videos. There's going to be, I don't think at the moment we're going to be streaming it. We have to just check through to make sure that we have the right permissions for all that stuff. And so I think it's going to be, you need to come and experience it if you want to check it out. But I'm so excited. And again, it's a great opportunity that even if you're a Sunday morning worshiper, but you're gone and then you get back, you can still make it to church. Like, I just love that idea of things that take people away. Oftentimes by Sunday night, you're back. And what a great way, again, to start the week with worship, centering. It's going to be the same sermon, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, same sermon, same series. I will say that Easter Sunday, we're just going to do the morning service to allow my family the opportunity to go and celebrate Easter with family. So that's the only Sunday evening as of right now that we're not going to do. But I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to join me in this. And like I said, if you are interested in getting more involved in this, please let me know. And hopefully you will help me out by supporting it in the ways that we've talked about. So until next time, God bless. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays at 10 a.m., either in person or via our live stream, which can be found at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or by searching First UMC Yankton on YouTube.